Buenos dias and hola, as we say in Wales. Not being multilingual, just to be pleasant. Probably offended many nations there. It's an important part of services that we do in Conwy County Borough Council, and I want to talk about that as well. My name is Scott Andrews, kind of part of the team. There's Will Valentine, Darren Fennell and Michael Davis who work behind the scenes to help deliver all our IoT solutions, and also a special mention to our networks team, help deploy our long-run gateways without doing this work. So I want to show where we are. We're in the UK, we're in Wales, which is one of the constituent nations of the United Kingdom. About 20% of the population speak Welsh, which is important for the multilingual aspect. It's a population of about 3.1 million people. We're up in North Wales, and we're about 1,100 square kilometres, which for comparison is about the size of Rome with all its suburbs. We have a population of about 120,000 people. Up on the coastal strip, it's our most densely populated area. It's a very high retirement area, It's predominantly English-speaking. Primary routes from London through to Dublin come through as well for roads and for rail. And the rest of the county is very rural, lots of farms. We also have mountains in this area. This is the Lurry, also Municipality National Park. That represents 34% of the entire county area. And these all present challenges in deploying an IoT network. So I'll give you a flavour of what Conwy is. This is the castle that provides us our logo. We've got Victorian resorts, beaches, all beaches, mountains, we've got traditional market towns, we've got reservoirs there providing flood protection and drinking water. So we're a big, diverse county area. So why do we like LoRaWAN IoT? We like the coverage. We have big issues with mobile phone network connectivity. People talk about 4G and 5G. We like any G in some places. We also have the undulating land. We talk about the hills and mountains. A really good example of this is that Wales has about 5% of the entire UK's population, yet we have 20% of all of the television transmitters across the entire UK, because we need that penetration into the hills and valleys. So those same challenges also come through into our IoT LoRaWAN networks. We also have the built-up areas on the coast where we have all the tourists come in, which stop our mobile phone networks also they collapse, so we need to find alternative methods for connectivity. Public sector asset exploitation is a technical way within UK government to say, let's make the best value of our investments. So we want to use our buildings to place gateways. Now, we, as our county council, we have schools, we have libraries, we have big office buildings, we have lampposts to place gateways. That's a bad example of a gateway, which we then had to go back out to revisit, and our lighting department have placed that gateway at the very top of that post, now providing excellent connectivity in those rural areas. You can see the mountains beyond. It's important to work with other public sector organisations, police stations, fire stations, ambulance stations, train stations, power stations. Stations is a theme, but they're all there to exploit, including hospitals as well. So this is coverage of the TTN gateways that we've deployed in our county area. The county area is within the red line. We like it because we're deploying that network for our benefits, which I'll talk you through, but we're also then able to demonstrate to the taxpayer, you can use this as well. You're a bedroom developer, you're a business there, you just want to work smarter in more clever ways. We've put out a network that you can also use as well. We also like its fixed costs. This is an important aspect within public sector funding, certainly in the UK, I can't vouch for everywhere else in Europe. But we have what's called a revenue grant, which is given to us on the 1st of April. That's when the financial year starts for the public sector in the UK. And that lands in a bank account, and it has to pay for everything that is just consumed. Your gas, your electric, your salaries, your water, your SIM plans. So with LoRaWAN, you can just have a load of devices that are out there working, and we're not having to manage all those little bits of SIMs. as a challenge as it is with our corporate mobile phones, let alone with like potentially thousands of devices. So LoRaWAN's good there, and there's no data plans. It means that we can approach Welsh Government, UK Government for a capital fund to say, can we have a one-off purchase of a LoRaWAN gateway? Can we have a one-off purchase of a LoRaWAN sensor? And then we can just then maximise the benefits of that investment to try and reduce the cost of our revenue budgets. The revenue budgets are important, and obviously with inflation, it has come down very recently, but it has been rated 10%, so it's really reducing the value of our
revenue costs. And then just another part is that in our county council, we already have a lot of infrastructure to make our systems work. We have database servers, we have all the web servers, and we have a professional IT department to kind of glue it all together. So we're maximising the value that we have within our council, inside our municipality. So what are we using it for? I've just touched on it very briefly. It's maximising the investment, that capital investment, to reduce those costs. So the solution here, that's a water level sensor that we've innovated ourselves because we're having some erratic results, sorry. So we've come up with that, and we've got a more controlled environment, and we're able to share all that information with the public. That 20% of the population in Wales that speak Welsh, we have a legal obligation to ensure that they can also access that information in Welsh. So we have to present all this information bilingually. But we're able to show all the graphs from different sensors. We have nearly 40 of these flood level sensors across the authority area now. And they are substantial savings. You can see the cost of our traditional telemetry units, which are using 3G and 4G backhaul, and the difference in cost of the IoT flood sensors. Our flood manager can see it in two ways. It can either be a cost saving for him, or he has an opportunity to increase the resolution of the data across the county from more streams. We're also doing it for building data. Ignore the numbers, there's a lot of numbers there. I like this graph though because there's colour, and you can see straight away those red, where those big red arrows are, what's going on with the pink, what's going on there. The one on the left is Saturday, the one on the right is Sunday. We can see straight away at a glance that the temperature is higher in this building. Why is it higher in this building? Well, that's fine. We actually want it to be higher in that building at the weekend. It means that we haven't left the ventilation on, we're not using up electric, we're not excessively burning carbon, all that type of thing. You can also see that horizontal blue line. That's from a computer room I was working in. And officially it's meant to be 22 degrees, and I was working there for a number of hours, and I was after, by Jove, it's a bit chilly in here. And I thought, I'm going to disprove this, and I went and put a sensor in there. And I've now got evidence to our facilities department to prove that you are overcooling it, you are excessively using electric in that room. We've just got cold, hard evidence. Also, building monitoring. This is footfall counters for a public toilet in a rural community. The blue line, I am cliched, is for the men's toilets, the red line is the ladies' toilets. You can see there how over 5 months the men's toilets has only had 800 visits and the ladies' toilets just under 400. We have to pay electric costs, water costs, cleaning costs and business rates to central government for this public toilet. And at that kind of footfall, you can see we have to question the value of that to our taxpayers and also the value of it to the community as a whole. When we actually go and analyse the times of the footfall, it's actually predominantly the cleaner going in on a daily basis. So there's cost issues there. We're also using it for CO2 monitoring. Obviously, this came about during COVID to prove that we had appropriate ventilation in schools at that time. We had children, we had all the heating on and children sitting in classes with the coats on. You can see where these arrows are, where the CO2 has peaked to above the thresholds. So we're now collecting evidence to say to Welsh Government, let's have a capital bid where we can go and improve the ventilation in these schools. By having lower CO2, there is scientific evidence that you can improve learning outcomes, improve productivity, improve behaviour. And that's not just in a school, that can also apply in your workforce as well. You can also see here at lunchtime how that CO2 level drops. So therefore, that room is quite reasonably well ventilated. It does drop quite quickly, but it does demonstrate that maybe when there's 30 15 or 16-year-olds, they're nearly adult size, that the ventilation of the room isn't quite sufficient overall. So it's an important statement. I'm going to read it out, even though you're not meant to do it on PowerPoint. But I think Christian's point here is important. We first started using LoRaWAN during the COVID-19 pandemic. It has enabled us to efficiently and effectively collect environmental data to protect the health of our employees and our service users. Christian, I always remember him saying, because he learned about the CO2 improving behavior and the learning outcomes, and I remember him saying, once you know it, you can't unknow it. And it's on that basis we're still continuing to collect that information. We are monitoring soil moisture. There's been a large capital grant in one of our primary seaside resorts in Llandudno, where there's a road that historically was an avenue. We're putting the trees back in. Apparently, the trees, if they're not watered properly, they end up with a 50-50 success rate, yes or no, will they die or not? If you water them appropriately, they can go up to 90%. So therefore, you start to protect that significant investment in these trees. We can also compare it to rainfall. That's on the graph as well. So we can determine, is it appropriate to send the van out to, do people need to go and water it? If the van doesn't have to go out, obviously you save on staff time, you save on fuel costs, and we can also start to collect that data. We want these trees to survive because obviously there's climate change. If we can get that tree grow to a full canopy, we help reduce the urban heat island effect. So it's all good things by protecting that investment. And then also social care is a key factor. We have responsibility for social care in our authority area. We have a very high retirement population. We have the second highest density of retirement in the entire UK. It's very popular for people from Northern England and the Midlands of England to come and retire by the sea and by the mountains. And there's another county council who is on record as saying that 85% of their entire budget is spent on adult social care. So the other 15% is for schools, roads, the democratic process. So you can see how it's just a huge sponge of sucking up all that money. So we're trying to work in smarter ways and exploring that. So we've got some LSIS sensors, we've got a mile site button, we've got the lovely cuddly Quando busy lights. So what we're using is gathering the data, and at certain thresholds the lights will change colour to notify staff. So therefore they can easily determine whether it's flat 1, flat 2, flat 3 or flat 4 or flat 5 if there's an issue at. It's also accompanied with an audible alarm, so don't worry if you're thinking that staff are just wandering around in a different room. They're also told audibly with an alarm as well that's going on. So IoT, for Conwy, what does it do for us? It provides us with easy information and it helps us to save costs, and we're exploring that. It's certainly not easy deploying all this. You're changing maybe years of behavior. You're challenging people how they've been working. We're also having to build that infrastructure. Like I said, we're putting those gateways on schools, and that in itself has also been a challenge. But we're continuing to move on. The departments are still continuing to engage, because during 2025, the traditional copper telephone network starts to get switched off in the UK as well. So we need to find alternative methods of communication, for electronic communication. So we feel that it has real opportunities, real growth, and change we do in Conwy helps us deploy that kind of change in Wales and hopefully across the UK. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to take any questions. We've got 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Yes?
What kind of sensors do you use for those trees?
For the trees, we have been using a mixture of, I can't remember the exact models, but we've used some Dragino soil sensors, and we've also used another manufacturer, Netvox. For us, the Dragino ones have worked really well. They're cost effective, they're reliable, and they're easy to set up, which is a win-win in my book. My top 3 challenges, changing hearts and minds, definitely, saying there is another way. Trying to convince budget holders as well to engage, to see the benefits. The third one. I'm sure there's lots. Just learning about them as well. You know, we've been doing this for about 3 years, and you go out there and there's lots of temperature and humidity sensors, and you're kind of going, I try an Elsys one, and you try a Dragino one, and you try to explore them all and find out different benefits from them. Which ones are easiest to deploy? Creating all the documentation and things for them, because it's not just me. You know, we've also got another team to work with. So yeah, the learning curve as well, while still doing your normal day work, like printers and meeting room systems and stuff like that. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me or speak with me.